Get ready for the Work Better podcast. I'm Toree McQueen, here to share stories on what's working and what's not in business and in life from humans all over the world. I believe everyone's version of success looks different, but in the end, we should all love our life's work, and in doing so, live a life of complete fulfillment. And if you don't love your work, I'm hoping you'll tune in and uncover some inspiration here to work better. Well, hello, my friends. Okay, today I'm super excited for this episode. I know I say that all the time, but this one's so awesome because I get this question asked all the time. And I think that no matter where you're at in your business, whether you're just brand new starting or you're been in the business for a while or you're pivoting or you're doing something completely different, this will be for you. Because you guys, this is the exact method I use to get my next clients. And that's the number one question I get asked by other realtors that I mentor or newer entrepreneurs that are looking to get started is how do I get my next clients? So I'm going to explain this to you for you guys today. It's called the 5831 method. And I know it's not really sexy or anything like that, but I wanted to really simplify it for you guys. But today is about the numbers. So get out your pen and paper because we are going to get into the nitty gritty of what it actually boils down to get your next clients. And it's worked in my business personally, and it can work in any business for that matter. So whether you're new to real estate or launching a new brand or product or coaching and need clients, the number one thing to succeed is you need customers. Without customers or anyone to serve, there is no business. So whether you're a gym or whether you're a coach or whether you are a realtor, if you don't have customers to go help, like what's the point of your business? So I'm going to explain to you the method that I use. And I use this method to get realistic with myself and my numbers so that I know exactly the activities that I need to do to hit the targets that I want to hit. And again, you can use this method whether you want to work 10 hours a week or 80 hours a week. That's what I love. It's not about the hours spent. It's more about what you need to do to actually hit the amount of clients or closings that you need, whether it's, a lot of hours or if you're like me, you want to work the least amount of hours. So I'll be referencing a lot on my real estate journey, but also real estate numbers in general, just for example's sake. And really how I came up with this method is because I took my numbers and I kind of gave a conservative number to what has worked for me and some of my agents and other people that I've coached in the past. So anyways, let's get to it. So what is the 5831 method? Since we tend to overcomplicate things, this was just my simple way of figuring out how many conversations I need to get one client. In other words, how far do I need to cast my net in order to get one client closed? And if you're already in business, you can figure out these numbers by reverse engineering your work and kind of breaking down your own conversion rates. But let's break these numbers down even further. It takes 50 conversations to get 8 appointments, to then get 3 to actually show up, to be presented to or be a serious client or customer, and then 1 to actually close. So with the 5831 method, this basically means for every 50 conversations about your product that you're having, you should close at least 1 client. That's it. And for my own purposes, guys, I use a 2% conversion rate with this method because it's fairly conservative and it helps me overshoot my goals and leave room for any kind of error. So literally, guys, what a 2% conversion rate is if you actually cold call, cold call, like pick up the phone and literally dial, which most people hate, as long as you're good at your scripts and your product and conversations, like your little pitch that you got and how you can help, a 2% conversion rate is actually doable. That means that we're calculating based on every 100 people you speak to, you can close 2. And in reality, as you get better and as you have more conversations and start to understand where the conversations are being had that creates higher conversion and get good at your conversations, your number will go to more of 4 or 5%, which is what mine is. So with a lot of practice, out of 100 people that I speak to, I acquire 5 customers. But for this method, and even what I do now, is I use the 58-3-1 method because it is conservative. And again, I want to overshoot. So really, this means for every 50 conversations you have about your product, you should close 1. So for real estate, if you want to have 4 closings a week or a month, you need to have 50 legitimate conversations about the product or service that you offer. So for real estate, you need to have 50 conversations a week to get on target for 4 transactions a month. That's what that means. And at scale, if you want to sell 100 products a month, then you need to get in front of and engage with and have conversations with 5,000 potential customers a month. So let's walk you through the steps on how to use this method and relate it back to you. Now, there's 5 steps that we do to use this method. And take out your pen and paper because this is going to help you, but we'll break down your numbers and kind of go over how to use this method moving forward. And hopefully you guys can use this today in your business and start taking action because it really does simplify things. So let's walk through these steps. Number 1, you need to calculate your goals and what you want to achieve and then just reverse engineer. I know you guys probably hear this a lot. I'm not the first one to come up with this. This is all over in anything. Everything is a numbers game. So for instance, in real estate, if you're a realtor and you want to close 40 real estate transactions a year, you know you need to have 2,000 legitimate conversations with potential buyers or sellers within the year. That 2,000 conversations should turn into 320 appointments. And of that, 120 will show, and then 40 should close. So you can use any numbers here. And you may be wondering, well, I'm not sure how many customers I want or need. Then you take it a step further and break down how much you want to make per customer or how much you make per customer and calculate how much you want to make in the year. If you want to make $200,000 a year and you make about $8,000 per transaction in profit, then you would want to divide 200,000 by 8,000, which equals 25 transactions. So once you know that you need 25 transactions to hit the amount of money you want to hit, then you use the 58-3-1 method to calculate your conversations needed to attain that. And it's really that simple, guys. To close 25 real estate transactions, you need to have 1,250 conversations throughout the entire year. That's about 24 to 25 conversations a week if you work every week. Now, I usually calculate my numbers by taking 2 whole months off. So instead of working 12 months and calculating it using 12 months, I only work 10 months because I want to plan for family and vacations and be realistic and all of that. So get realistic with yourself here on how much you actually want to work so that you can be realistic with your numbers and your targets. And the key is to know whether you are choosing to go off of the profiting numbers or just your revenue, because there is a difference. And either way, you want to at least subtract the cost of goods sold or subtract your expenses there when creating your goals. So pad yourself, guys. And this works for any industry, like I said, and not just real estate, and any customer that you want to gain. Small scale, large scale, these numbers work. Once you do this, you now have a clear expectation for the activities that you need to do. Like, for instance, you can't be upset if you want to close like 40 transactions, but you only close 10 because you didn't have the amount of conversations you needed. So don't be upset if you only close 10 transactions if you didn't have the 1,250 conversations that you needed. So just do the math. And more importantly, do the work. I promise if you get real with these numbers and work it, it will work, guys. It will work. So the second step is once you have the numbers down, it's time to implement consistency. It's easy to get the numbers and write them down, right? But to create the plan and attack it daily is the real meat and potatoes, you guys. Now you know your targets, though. So you break the numbers down and put it into your calendar. So back to the real estate example, if you need to have 25 conversations a week, you need to be asking yourself, where am I having those conversations? Where do I want to have these conversations? And I'm not talking one-sided conversations, guys. I'm talking about engagement, where people are talking and conversing with you about your product or service. Is this phone calls? Is it open houses for realtors? Is it emails? Is it comments on social media? Yes, I count the comments or the engagement in stories. I don't count all the likes though, guys. I count that for activities, but like for the comments wise are actually the conversations. And it's on mostly, product related posts, community events, classes, family gatherings, working with business partners. I mean, where are these conversations going to take place? And again, I'm giving you these examples with real estate, but you can use them for anything. You can figure out your examples for your business. If you're, a coach, are you going to be speaking at events? Are you going to networking things? Are you reaching out to HR departments? Are you, social media? Anything. People have to hear about you to know that you exist and know that you can help, no matter what the product. I'd say pick up to 4 of these max to focus on and give yourself a goal on what you want to hit in a week. So, for instance, to hit 25 conversations, you can say, I'll do 10 phone conversations, 5 open house conversations, 5 engaging comments on social media, posts or stories, and 5 engagements in a community event that I plan to host or do. Be realistic here and think about where your intentions will be set for creating consistency. Because if you're not going to make 50 phone calls because that's just not what you feel you want to create your business on, then don't do 50, do the 10, and do something that you can create consistency in and be realistic. Pick what you will actually do. And usually this is a combination of what you're comfortable with and then a couple where the challenge will be getting you uncomfortable. Pick 2 that might be completely uncomfortable. And then a tip here would be take note here on what will take you the least and most amount of time and effort. So again, like if you're anything like me, I want to do what's most efficient a lot of times because my time is so valuable. And again, there are more favorable things than others. Like I don't like making phone calls as much as I like to, do the events. But for the amount of time and effort and costs, it makes sense to implement the calling in my business. As much as some people hate making phone calls or doing social posts, you may realize the time it takes for the reach that you gain is well worth it. Whereas an event may take up a lot more time and resources to get you the results or the conversations that you need. And this may be trial and error, but I challenge you to stick to a few for the first 6 weeks at least to test it at 100% consistency before switching it up. Be realistic about the hours you want to work because we cannot afford to half-ass it here. And pardon my language, but it's true. If you half-ass it, you're not going to get to where you want to be. That's just what it is. So once you choose your way, you want to put that into your calendar. Be consistent and get to work. Hey there, friends. Are you in business and wanting to get more clients over the next 6 weeks? Well, I've got something just for you, the 5831 Method Session and Guide. It's all about simplifying your strategy to attract and close those dream clients. No more guesswork. Think of this as a little one-on-one session with me to figure out the exact strategies to gain those next clients to close. When you jump on board, you'll snag a downloadable guide and step-by-step video session with yours truly, so we can tailor this method to fit your unique business and goals. And imagine this, in just under an hour session, you'll have a custom roadmap ready to roll out over the next 6 weeks. So what are you waiting for? No matter what business you're in, head on over to toreemcqueen.com/method. That's toreemcqueen.com/method, or find the link in the show notes to get more clients today. Now, number 3. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to want to track. I don't care if this is in a notebook on a blank piece of paper, a yellow pad, or on an Excel sheet. Keep track of your engagements, interactions, appointments, and closings. You will want to use this for the future to see where you can make corrections or, retailer your numbers if you had to so that you can get better for the future. And this will also tell you if you have a numbers problem or a conversion problem. And likely it could be a conversion problem. If you're getting a ton of conversations but not converting, you're likely sending the wrong message or not tailoring your pitch correctly. The mistake I see many make is by not tracking. And then you have no accountability and you cannot see where you can improve or what is working and what's not. And this can be, like I said, a note page in your book or an Excel sheet or some fancy system. It really doesn't matter. But just being consistent to track it is what's key. And to help you guys out, I have created a little sheet for you, and we can connect it in the show notes so you can easily track your work. Now, here's the fun one. Number 4 is you're going to celebrate your success. Like, everyone needs to celebrate their wins. I think a lot of times we overwork and then we don't celebrate our wins. And by wins, your wins are your efforts, your consistency. That is what we were celebrating. Like I, for instance, like to have weekly celebrations. So for me, I set mini goals each week because I need to win often. Like I don't want to wait 6 weeks before I celebrate. So I like to celebrate every week. So winning keeps me going. It keeps the momentum. And I think that that's important for people. And oftentimes people don't celebrate their wins. These wins can be celebrated by simple things like a lunch date with a friend or an extra special date night with your husband or an adult outing with friends or that new pair of jeans or shoes you wanted. Like, so for instance, if I don't hit my targets that week and I'm not consistent, then no, I don't get to go have lunch with a friend that week. But if I hit my consistency and I'm creating the habits of consistent efforts, then yeah, I get to go on a double date with my friends and do that. So get in the habit of celebrating your consistent efforts and not the outcomes. Because you guys, I promise that if you can be consistent and stay the course, the closings will follow. The outcome will follow. But continue to stay consistent and stay the course here and celebrate. And last but not least, number 5, as you gain experience with the 5831 method, don't be afraid to make adjustments as needed. If you are noticing that after 6 weeks, you're making more progress with social media than with open houses, then maybe you'll want to reduce the amount of open houses that you do and double down on the social media strategy instead. And again, I'm talking in realtor terms here and that as an example, but it can work for any business. If you are looking for more clients and social just isn't bringing you the appointments that you need, but you're spending a ton of time on it, reassess. Maybe Instagram's not for you. Go make a list of 100 next people to get in front of and start dialing. You will be surprised what can be changed with a tiny little tweak. And I do challenge you again to hold off on any changes for the first 6 weeks, as I think it's way harder to see any kind of patterns anytime before that. And you guys, I really do swear by this method. And I think sometimes we tend to overcomplicate things, but when you really get simple and straightforward about the numbers, it is much easier to focus on your target and what activities to do each week to get you there. So I'll leave you with one last tip for you when testing this method out, because I'm hoping that all of you can take this and use it today. But here's my tip for you. You will need to sacrifice something. And I would rather you be intentional about this, because if you're not intentional about what you're going to sacrifice, you will feel like this is harder than it actually is. And when I say the sacrifice, I mean this can be a short-term sacrifice, or it may turn into a long-term one. But pick something that you're willing to give up to make this happen. So for me, I've had to be intentional about giving one night a week away to work on my side hustle for 1 month. So when I do something new, I have to give something up because otherwise there's no room on the calendar for it, right? This means I cannot feel bad about taking one night away from my kids or husband to work on this for whatever term I put. So like 1 month. Or I sacrifice his lunch I sacrificed lunch with my friends until I hit my wins. So a lot of times my sacrifice is opposite what my celebration is, if you're seeing a pattern here. There will be no lunches with gal pals or coffee dates until I stay consistent with my plan. If I stay consistent for 2 weeks, I get a phone date for a friend. So like I said, it is kind of about, it feels like a celebration, but it's also a sacrifice. And so for myself, I do better if I tell myself it's a temporary sacrifice. Like if I know I'm temporarily giving up one night a week with my kids, I don't feel like everything is not worth it, right? It's temporary. And you have to give something up no matter what. So either you can take control of it up front, or you can help it slip without you knowing and feel like you've lost. I mean, take your pick. Either way. So with that being said, guys, I can't wait to see you guys implement the 5831 method for your own business so that you can see the magic happen. If you guys have any questions on this, message me personally. I'd be happy to reach out and help you. Otherwise, I will leave some resources in the show notes for you to go ahead and help you figure out your 5831 method and strategy as well. Well, there you have it. I hope you guys get to work. Until next time. Well, my friends, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Work Better podcast. I hope you've wrapped up your golden nugget and take it with you on your journey to finish out the week. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, leave a review, or reach out to me personally if you have any special requests for guests or questions you'd like me to share on the show. In the meantime, I'll be over here rooting for you. Until next time.